So she went to a town hall meeting and made an announcement there that she is a grandparent raising 5 children, and she cannot believe that the city is going to evict her out of her own home, especially considering that it was part of the Underground Railroad. And so after saying that phrase, there was a gasp. From there, she galvanized press, people, advocates, supporters. And if you were on the right side of history, you could get on board.
That was Shawne Lee, co-founder of Friends of Abolitionist Place. And this is Epicenter NYC. We connect our communities to news, information, and each other. I'm your host, Amber Castillo. In the mid-19th century, as enslaved people sought freedom in the North, Brooklyn was a hotbed of anti-slavery activity. Homes like 227 Duffield Street, now known as 227 Abolitionist Place, stood as quiet sanctuaries. But while most of these safe havens have since vanished, this unassuming row house remains, a rare and powerful link to the past. Its survival is no accident. It's the result of decades of activism led in part by Joy Chattel, better known as Mama Joy, and now carried on by her daughter Shawne Lee and advocate Raul Rothblatt, who co-founded Friends of Abolitionist Place in 2019. Today, I sit down with Shawne and Raul to learn more about how a small home in Brooklyn became the center of a battle against gentrification and historical erasure, what it took to achieve landmark status, and why the fight for this history is far from over. Before we jump in, a quick message from our team.
Hi, I'm Mariana from the Epicenter NYC team, and I have an important health question. Have you experienced unexpected brain fog, fatigue, or mood changes? These may be symptoms of long COVID. Most people who have COVID-19 completely recover, but some have lasting symptoms and health problems. If you need more information about what this means, we can help. Long COVID is real. You can stay protected by keeping up to date with your vaccines. Don't let COVID derail your health. Schedule your appointment today. Send us a note at hello@epicenter-nyc.com or call or text us at 917-818-2690.
Now back to the show. Here's my conversation with Shawne and Raul.
My name is Shawne Lee, she, her, and I am the co-founder and the director of Friends of Abolitionist Place. But I must say, my mother, Joy Chattel, was the original founder.
My name is Raul Rothblatt, he, him, and Shawne and I have been working together. So we co-founded Friends of Abolitionist Place, and we've been working to save and protect this history for a little over 20 years.
And what is the Abolitionist Place for folks who don't know?
Abolitionist Place is 227 Duffield Street. It was co-named Abolitionist Place in 2009. And it's more than just a place, it's a movement. So it represents the home of Mama Joy Chattel. She was known as Mama Joy, and Thomas and Harriet Lee Truesdale, 3 abolitionists, 2 from the 19th century and my mom from the 21st century.
And how did you get involved, Raul?
Well, I got to meet Mama Joy in early 2004. So there's a lot of levels to this fight. This home there used to be a lot of homes that were part of the abolitionist movement, but really we got to remember that most of New York City really supported slavery, was very not only ideologically connected, but financially connected. So not every home was part of the Underground Railroad. And abolitionists and Underground Railroad are very different things. But we got involved because several properties were threatened with eminent domain in 2004. And from that period, lots of buildings, everything got destroyed except for Mama Joy's home. So, and she welcomed me into this process. And the more I've gotten to know about it, the more important I realize it is, and the deeper the deeper the stories go, the breadth of this whole story gets bigger and bigger the more I dig into it.
Wow. And what was it about Mama Joy's home, or what was it about the fight? Like, what was it that saved it, as didn't happen to many of these other houses?
My mom was very articulate when it came to expressing what she was going through and who was involved and who were her allies. And if you listen to her story, she was a grandmother raising five grandchildren. She owned her own business on the parlor floor, which was a hair salon, and she was a homeowner. So that resonated with people, especially during that time in the early 2000s when people were really experiencing the terrorism of gentrification. So she acquired the home after her late husband passed away. He acquired the home when his late wife passed away. She, after he passed away, of course, she remembered the stories he would tell her in regards to the abolitionists who lived there. It wasn't just her husband who told her, it was peers of hers, associates and friends who lived in the neighborhood decades and decades before she did. So this is something she always knew. But of course, it didn't come into play as much as when she was threatened with eviction through the use of eminent domain. From there, she let it be known about the history of her home. She also did research on, along with the historian James Driscoll from the Queen's Historical Society, and discovered Thomas and Harriet Lee Truesdale, who lived in the home. So all of this was territory that was uncovered, that has been taken away from us for so long, and just knowing that she dug in there to really prove her point that it was worth saving, not only because it was her home and her business, but because it's a rich history that needs to be preserved, that needed to be uncovered, preserved, and always known about and celebrated.
Is there maybe like one story, or, bits and pieces of kind of that historical significance, those stories passed on, that you could speak about a bit?
So there's many stories, many connections, many descendants of people who were still alive. That many institutions, like there were a lot of very important Black churches right in the neighborhood. Those churches are still around. I think all of them. I mean, these institutions do survive, and the memory does survive, but only with a fight. Only with a fight. The street wouldn't have been named Abolitionist Place if we didn't demand it. The park was going to be called Willoughby Square Park, a really completely bland name. And it was only changed to Abolitionist Place Park because we demanded it. So, there's so much more to discover, but it requires a fight. Every inch of the way, every millimeter has to be fought for. And that's what we're here for.
Could you speak a little bit about the story of that fight? How did this grassroots movement really take off? Like, what did some of that work involve? And how did you make progress to get the city to, as I understand it, to save it from being developed?
The home was threatened to be demolished several times. So that in itself, it's amazing that we look at that little house and see that it is definitely a symbol for the people, because it truly is. And whenever I see it, it just makes my heart full, because it's a representation of never giving up hope, of always knowing that if you feel something in your heart, it exists, and it will manifest. So it started in 2004 when my mom did not accept the fact that she was being evicted from her own home. So she went to a town hall meeting and made an announcement there that she is a widow, a grandparent raising five children with a business, And she cannot believe that the city is going to evict her out of her own home, especially considering that it was part of the Underground Railroad. And so after saying that phrase, there was a gasp, there was a silence, there was a a shock. From there, she galvanized press, people, advocates, supporters, anyone who really related to it, which so many people did, got on board and really took to her story. Like I said, she was extremely articulate, very dramatic, and would have no fear. She was totally fearless. And if you were on the right side of history, you could get on board. But if you crossed her and tried to really abolish and dismantle what is just and what should be, then you have her wrath to pay for. So she was not social media savvy at the time, but she was very good at making sure the press was at every lecture she spoke at every conference she may have held. And from there, it just swelled into, something really big. And I was right there with her, along with her grandchildren and the thousands of people, and I do mean thousands and thousands of people who supported her.
What did finally achieving landmark status do for the Abolitionist Place?
My mother tried several times to get the house landmark to no avail. And I tried immediately after she passed. So when I did research on landmarks, I read their mission statement. And on their mission statement, it said that they landmark according to architectural significance as well as cultural significance. So that rung a bell. I said, okay, let us shift how we're going to fight this situation. Let us go on the merits of cultural significance, because the proof is definitely there that, this is the home of Thomas and Harriet Lee Truesdale. And if you look at it, there was construction in regards to the business part of it. So we did not want to lose another chance to really make it stick. So I think us really pushing for that cultural significance definitely helped, and writing to the First Lady, Charlene McCray.
There's a shift, actually. So we got the building landmarked February 2nd, 2021. But landmarks, so you landmark an individual site, you can't change what's visible from the street. So you can't change the windows, you can't paint it. There's very strict rules about it. But they focus on the architectural details. In 2020, even though the law says you can landmark something for its social significance, that didn't happen until 2020, when a couple buildings in Chelsea were landmarked for their connection to the LGBTQ community. So there was a bit of a shift, and it shouldn't be. I mean, the law is supposed to be the law, but it helped to have a change of culture, especially in City Hall, to push for that, and for who is appointed to the commission. So
I'm just one last question. I'm just curious why you think Mama Joy's seen as such a threat. Like, when you talk about everything that she went through, like, what about her or what about this fight do you think was so threatening for people?
People don't recognize honesty. People don't recognize passion. There were times I would every now and then again hear, "Oh, Mama Joy is just doing it for the money." Because I think people who are only motivated by money don't recognize that somebody wants to save something because it's important. They want to save something not for their own benefit, but because it's the right thing to do. And that is actually quite a threatening thing for a lot of people, because we treat homes and businesses and land as like a commodity, something to kind of, you could just sell. Like, no, like this site right there at that point is important for what happened there. and you can't move it anywhere else. It has to be right there. And that sort of connection is kind of a threat to the way we run our city, where it's like, well, you have a hotel. We want to give your hotel to another hotel owner. You can get a hotel. We'll just give you some money. It's like, well, no, if that hotel has something meaningful, then, that is yours. But we don't actually do that in this city, in this country, in this world.
How can readers and listeners who want to support you guys do so?
Well, we have our website, which is abolitionistplace.org. And we have a very vibrant Instagram as well as Facebook. Our Instagram is Friends of Abolitionist Place. Our Facebook is the same thing, Friends of Abolitionist Place. Please log on and become a member, supporter, advocate of abolitionistplace.org. This fight is not going to stop. We will not stop. Others may come and go, but we are going to be here. It's even passed down to the next generation because Raul's children were born into this movement. My grandchildren were born into this movement, and they're already singing the praises of Mom and the Truesdales and 227 Abolitionist Place.
There's just a million things going on and a million ways to get involved. So, everybody who's listening here has now got a little taste of it and can find some way of their own to get involved and to learn more and to get inspired by this. And especially right now, after the recent election, like, these folks went through so much. They went through over and over again. They dealt with massacres, homes getting destroyed, people getting race riots. They went through this and they kept going. And if they kept going, we certainly can do so too.
Yeah, we have current advocates and partnerships of organizations that is so worthy of us calling their names, such as the historic Lefferts House, Weeksville, and also Grow House and Flatbush African Burial Ground. So did I miss any, Raul? There's a
lot. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, but those are the main players who are definite advocates and partners. And we work together, because it all intertwines. So it's feels so good to be a part of a movement where you're preserving something that's just so worth knowing and sharing.
As we've heard today, 227 Abolitionist Place stands as a reminder that communities have power, that history is worth fighting for, and that we need to keep the stories of those who resisted oppression from erasure. If you want to support the work of Friends of Abolitionist Place, you can visit their website at abolitionistplace.org. There you'll find information on upcoming events, walking tours, and ways to get involved. You can also follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Friends of Abolitionist Place to stay connected to their latest efforts. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting us as we do our best to support our community. We couldn't do it without you. For more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at epicenter-nyc.com. Our intro music is All the Pretty Horses by Karavika. You can find more of their music on their website, linked to in our podcast description.